There's
Yeah,
the bastard.
he sounds evil. Kill him! Welcome to part 3 of Jak and Daxter. So, we're still in the forest area, looking for more precursor orbs. That's pretty much what we're doing this entire game, just wandering around looking for precursor orbs. So, next tangent.
There are two major things you can do here. One is the plot important thing, which is to activate. Well, it's to actually stop this machine right here, right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
This is the mayor quest. This is you
Yeah.
you deactivate this machine and then you redirect the beams so that it feeds energy back into the village. That's for the mayor. And the main thing here is what was the main thing again? I know I just did it, but I forgot who it was for.
John, so I know Ryan and Lewis have both beaten this game. You said you haven't. How much of it have you been able to play? At this
My
point?
menu says 32%.
Oh well.
Now, I'm not sure if that's because of how much shit I've collected, because I'm going out of my way to get everything.
The other thing that you can do in this area that you couldn't remember, though, John, is not plot important, but it is activating the first of the precursor vents, the blue precursor vent, in fact.
That's right.
And how that works is actually, there's a mini boss in the temple here, a very easy mini boss. And if there's one shortcoming one has, it's lack of good bosses. But
Well, I hear this game is pretty easy throughout. Like,
oh yes, it's a very comfortable level difficulty, you know. As in, if this difficulty were listed in a game's difficulty list, it wouldn't even be easy or hard. It would be listed as comfortable.
yes, this is definitely a thing.
It's I wouldn't say the game is too easy. I mean, for what it is, for this kind of game, it's kind of a relaxing kind of game, you know?
Well, that's the thing. Like one of the I'm gonna my major point of reference here is Banjo. So that's probably what I'm gonna be referring
couldn't
to
tell.
throughout the commentary. So if you're sick of it now, sorry. But one of the issues I had with the first Banjo as opposed to the sequel is that they were still under the mindset in that game that it had to be difficult. So you could die relatively easily, and if you died, you had to recollect shit all over again. You had to recollect all your notes and and all of that, and it was just time consuming. I don't play this type of game platformer to be challenged. The challenge, if there is any, should come from like trying to navigate. Well, not navigate the world. The world should be easy to navigate, but. You know what I mean, like exploring, figuring out puzzles, that sort of thing.
That's why I really hate it when... Because there's two things that a game can do to make me just regret what I've done for the rest of that day. One is that the game is overly frustrating for the wrong reasons. Or two, if the game bores me. I play a game to escape, not make me want to go back to the thing I'm escaping from.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain amount of unfair equivocation between interesting gameplay and hard gameplay.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think exploring a ruin in a game like this, or like going through a platforming challenge in like a Mario game. Those are two very different types of gameplay, and one is not intrinsically more interesting than the other. It's just a personal preference kind of thing.
Yeah.
But where the thing is that if you're doing just straight up jumping on stuff like in a traditional Mario game, that is that can be hard. Like, I don't have any problem with that being challenging. Like, just walking around an area, that shouldn't be like, I shouldn't, like, if the whole point is just to explore, I shouldn't be under threat of death all the time and then be punished severely for it. So like I'd be totally okay with this game being, with not having to die an awful lot in this game if it just keeps the flow going, and I can just keep on doing the fun stuff, which would be jumping around and looking for things.
Yeah. What Ryan did not actually get while he was down there, because he was sort of in a rush to get over here, I suppose, that there's a sort of cave in the river down there that leads to a small island off the back coast of this area that just has a power cell sitting on it.
I get there eventually.
Yeah, some power cells are as simple as exploring the
Finding
general
them.
area. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I've played Jak and Daxter 1 so many times. It's easy, but not easy in a way that puts me off wanting to play it. And I've explored it enough times that in like under a few hours I can get to the end of the game and have all of the collectibles. Because if you know your way through the game, not even just as a speedrunner, but if you know your way through the game, you can collect the majority of shit in one pass through every area.
Yeah,
But
that's often where the bulk of your first time playing the game will stem from. Is just exploring every nook and cranny, especially in a collectathon, because you want to see that number go up. That's sort of the point.
Yeah.
But this is the type of game where if you like you just can't find something, or you're sick of the scene, or you can go to a later level and then come back to pick stuff up later if you want to, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How does the game facilitate going back to early levels? Then?
Once you get to a new area, you open up a warp to a previous one.
Okay, that's good.
Good to know.
Yeah. Actually, the act of opening up the warp tunnels is where most of the cutscenes are.
Oh, they make it like a plot thing. Then.
Well, it happens when you reach the sage's hut in each village. They all have warp tunnels like the one that Samos has. But as he said in the opening cutscenes, the other sages haven't activated their portals in quite a long time. And we're going to find out why that is as we progress through the world.
There's a little detail
because
that
of evil.
There's a little detail that I like, and I first discovered it here, is that if Jak is hanging on a ledge for too long, Daxter will attempt to pull him up.
There's a lot of funny animations with Daxter. He doesn't. His funniest stuff in Jak 1 is the stuff that doesn't involve talking.
Yeah,
like
the visual humor.
Yeah, when you do a spin kick, sometimes he flies off the side and catches himself on Jak's hair.
Yeah, and he pulls him out. Yeah, I noticed that myself.
Like, I haven't been paying too much attention. Like, does he is he just sort of tagging along, or does he have like abilities for himself?
He doesn't actually become playable until Jak 2 and to a certain extent Jak 3.
Well, like
He gets
not
his own
like
game,
playable.
doesn't he?
Well, not
He
like
has his-
playable
Oh.
on his own. Like, does he have moves where he cooperates with Jak in any way?
No.
So
No,
he's just
he-
kind of there. Then.
He's just kind of there for this. This is the one I was talking about. He's just kind of there for this game, mainly because your reason for going on this journey in the first place is to find a cure.
And do you?
Nope.
No.
Well, let's take a look
No.
at Jak 2. And no!
Spoiler alert: Daxter is perpetually orange rat form, like forever. In fact, they contrived that. They actually contrived a situation in which his humanoid girlfriend became an orange rat herself, just so that turning into an actual relationship ended up
to
a little
give
less
him
creepy.
happiness. Is that ever a plot? Is that a plot point at any time? Like him dealing with the fact that he's going to be this orange rat for the rest of his life?
You know, I don't know, because I haven't played Jak 4. I hear the control is pretty bad, and there's one thing that you control that you just don't screw up in a platformer sequel, and it's the control, you know?
Wait, there's a Jak 4? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was made by a different company, though.
Oh, because
that's
Naughty
probably why I
Dog,
didn't hear
Naughty
about
Dog doesn't really own the IP, any of the IPs for the games they own. They
No, they do.
Well,
Yeah.
then why did somebody else work on a Jak game then?
I guess because Naughty Dog
They
didn't feel like
outsourced
making it. Yeah, Naughty
Yeah.
Dog didn't feel like making it.
Jak 4, or rather Jak and Daxter: The Last Frontier, is a PSP PlayStation 2 game. Yeah. It didn't get that much attention because A, the PSP is kind of not all that great overall, and B, it was
Unless
a
you're playing
PlayStation 2
RPGs.
game. It was a PlayStation 2 game in the era of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
So a quick cash grab.
I hate to say it, but probably, yeah. I haven't heard very good things about it. Like, it's not a terrible game, it's just disappointing.
Compared to what we've had already.
Yeah, and...
Okay.
in my honest opinion, Jack's 1 through 3 is good enough. I don't even think Jak X Combat Racing was a necessary add, but it was a good enough racing game that I was fine with it, you know?
Do they try to make that, like, plot? Like, it has plot significance? Or is it just a racing game?
It has tangential plot significance, and by that I mean in Jak 2 there's a character that you wind up killing by the end of the game named Crew, and that plot comes back for Jak X because it was a situation tied to Crew's death. I think it had something to do with his will. Crew is this fat-ass floating Jabba the Hutt sort of guy. And that's kind of doing him an injustice because he's actually one of the most eye-grabbing things in Jak 2 for all the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons which, by the way, Daxter is quick to point out.
And is there a reason why everybody has to race, or is it just kind of throwaway? Like
it's well, it has to do with
because nitrous oxide threatens to turn the planet into a concrete parking lot. Am I hitting?
No, actually, the plot in Jak X Combat Racing is surprisingly good for what it is. It's they get shanghaied into participating in a combat racing tournament, and I think it has to do with getting the antidote for a poison that Crew poisoned them with.
Now, how do you guys feel about that sort of thing? Like a game that has an interesting story, then one that you can find yourself attracted to, but to get more out of it, you play a different genre of a game. Like, I'm not sure what kind of continuity Jak X follows, or whether or not it's more of a continuation or something you can just bypass. But to play a racing game to get more out of the story, how do you feel about that?
Well, in Jak 3's case, there was already racing content in the game. There was already a heavy emphasis on driving desert buggies, and Jak X or Jak Cross, however you want to say that, is an extension of that gameplay, taken to its logical conclusion. So in that case, it didn't really feel like a different genre, even though it was very obviously doing the Mario Kart thing.
I don't know. Like, I can't really think of another example off the top of my head, though.
Kingdom Hearts.
Well, we've already. Okay, you want to know something? We're like a recent part of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat came up, and we talked about how confusing the Kingdom Hearts plot is. And like, I only saw comments like, "Kingdom Hearts plot isn't confusing. Oh man, you're just so stupid if you can't figure out the plot." Shut up. Seriously.
And those are the kind of people I don't like. Because instead of trying... Those are the kind of people that I hate in general. Is the people that get all stuffy about how you lack the understanding of this or that. And instead of spending time to teach you about it, they just mock you. And it's like, fuck you, okay? You're the kind of fanboy I don't want to meet.
Exactly. It's like, just to dwell on Square Enix for a bit. Okay, I understand Final Fantasy XIII's plot perfectly, okay? That doesn't mean the game itself isn't confusing.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
And I don't happen to like the direction Kingdom Hearts has taken. And you know what? Deal with it. Because you can't force me to find something to enjoy if I don't have the passion to enjoy it in the first place. I don't like what you like. Deal with it.
Yes.
Christ.
Okay. Back to the topic at hand, though.
Ryan, what do you got to say about this?
It's not like you're the one who recorded the game or anything.
we just completed a quest, and I kind of wish they had, actually accounted for the fact that you could do these quests without talking to some of the people first. But, yeah, they just sort of talk at you as if you've already accepted the quest from them beforehand.
Paper Mario does that at one point, actually, in the Ghost... in the Boo Mansion.
Yeah,
you
but
need to find a painting in order to get to the top floor, and if you don't talk to the painting to figure out what to do, he's like, "Wow, you figured this out without even having to talk to me." Like, granted, that's like the only instance where it happens, but it's a little bit harder since you'd have to record like twice as much dialogue for every person on the.
I like little details like that.
Still.
I wouldn't care as much in a longer game where overlooking that kind of thing is a bit easier to do, but this is a very short game, in terms of, linear story-based content. It doesn't have nearly the amount of dialogue as Jak 2.
How does that compare to like a first time playthrough? Like the completed playthrough, like for someone who knows what they're doing, is I think Ryan's playthrough is 4 hours, right, or so.
About that, yeah.
That's a pretty short game. But what if you're like a first timer? Would it be more like 6 or 8 or
Probably
my
more
general-
in the
my
neighborhood
gen-
of 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Go
my
ahead.
my safe time about that sort of thing, no matter what the platform is, usually around 10. It really depends on what kind of platformer player you are. Like, are you the type of person that goes out of his way to explore every single polygon that exists on screen? Then I would say 10 hours is a safe bet.
Yeah. That's a good rule of thumb. In this game's case, more like 5 or 6 though, because, all right, it has about the same amount of. Oh,
That tequila's
love this.
coming up at a bad time.
sometimes I just kill myself over and over just to see what Daxter has to say because he has a lot of death lines, you know.
It's like, what a little shit. It's like, I'm the only person that can help you out of your predicament. We're not going to. Spoiler warning. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? And the best thing you can do to me is mock me as I die. Fuck you. Drag me to the Lazarus pit and revive me already, why don't you? That little thing's adorable.
That is the sculptor's muse.
Yeah. It's like the cutest puppy dog eyes, even though if it's a cat. And so I think it's a cat.
This little asshole is so hard to catch, though. It always runs around in the same circle, so you don't have to worry about, it going in an unpredictable path. The thing about it is, though, unless you're, like, really good with your flip jumps and whatnot, it gets away from you pretty easily.
And you got these mud pits to bog you down, and the closer you get, the faster it gets.
So, it's frustrating for a first timer.
But
Very frustrating.
it does follow a straight path. Like, you already mentioned that it looped, but it does follow a straight path, so if you cut corners enough, you will catch it.
Yeah, it's like enough laps around the track. Eventually, unless you're just not thinking at all, you'll come up with a way to corner it. It's like I'm pretty. There are plenty of opportunities. It's just you got to think outside the box. Besides, just running after it.
I don't know if it goes backwards, though. Like, if you were to somehow...
Yeah, it does.
It does go backwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
so is it like that annoying little thief asshole from Spyro? Then.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Kind of, except not as bad.
It's not holding a... If it was holding a precursor orb, I would say rip off. But, no, that's not the case.
The thief asshole, though, was more a case of, headbutt charging, and until you actually...
So, similar concept, though, you're chasing it. I think that's what Ted was getting at.
Yeah, but there's no way to actually, run faster than the squirrel.
Whatever this thing
taking
is.
a while. Man. I keep
Oh,
forgetting
come on.
sometimes that I've played this game as many times as I
What if
have.
we got a can of yellow paint and painted
That-
Daxter to pose as the muse?
I'm sorry, I forgot Daxter did that.